Luke Skywalker will not be the last Jedi, but now that he's gone, the burden to train Jedi falls to Rey. What will Rey's new Jedi be like? What differences could they have from the Jedi of old, including the Jedi of Yoda? And will the Reylo connection that she shares with Kylo Ren have any bearing on her teachings? Let's talk about it. What is up, YouTube? It's Josh. This is the Den of Nerds. If you love Star Wars the way I do, subscribe to this channel. We do all sorts of coverage of the galaxy far, far away. Oh, and shout out to Run for Gold, who got the nerd card question correct in my latest Reylo video. You definitely know your stuff when it comes to Star Wars, so shout out to you, Run for Gold. There will be another nerd card question at the end of this video. Alright everyone, I wanted to do a video talking about Rey's Jedi. Yeah, that's right. Rey will likely usher in a new era of Jedi, which will go down as Rey's Jedi. The same way that we talk about Yoda's Jedi and Luke's Jedi from the EU and different things like that. So I definitely think this is going to happen, and at least the start of it will occur in episode 9. Now, before I go any further, I do want to address the need for Rey's training to continue and for her Jedi trial to occur. There's a lot of talk in the community about Rey having too easy of a go of it and being a Mary Sue character. Now, I've got a lot of content in the works addressing those sort of things, but let me just say this. Yes, I do believe that Rey needs more training, and she definitely needs a trial. I believe that she will receive more training from the Jedi text and from a Force ghost Luke, but I actually want to bring up Luke Skywalker and his ascension to being a Jedi Knight between Empire and Return of the Jedi. Now, the new canon is a little bit fuzzy about what happens there, but we are meant to believe that Luke literally brings back the Jedi Order and becomes a knight, not by finishing his training with a master, but instead by meditating in the Force and self-learning. When he goes back to Yoda, he says, "I would return," and then Yoda literally says, "No more training do you require." Luke literally does it by himself, and I think that will be paralleled by Rey's journey. She will follow a similar path. She will be taught by the Force. Now, she certainly needs a trial, and I think that at the end of the day, that will be her final confrontation with Kylo Ren, which I'll circle back to at the end of the video. But I do want to say that I don't think she needs the rank of Jedi Master to teach or train other Jedi. I mean, you really don't have to look too far for other examples of this. I mean, Ahsoka was the Padawan to Anakin when he was not a Jedi Knight, and an even better example is what happens with Kanan and Ezra in Star Wars Rebels. I think that's a little closer to the point of what's happening with Rey, because at that time there were no Jedi around at all. Kanan had to make do, and though he never finished his own training, he had to teach Ezra the ways of the Force and teach him how to be a Jedi. It's actually really interesting how that all goes down, and Kanan suffers from a lot of self-doubt, and it's a very interesting arc. I'd highly recommend watching Rebels if you have not. But this is exactly what Rey will need to do, because I believe the Knights of Ren are likely to rise as the new dark side faction. I think that that means there will be a need of balance, which will be created by people like Broom Boy popping up and gaining the power of the Force. At the end of the day, that's essentially what created all of the power within Rey. There was something inside her that's always been there, but now it's awake and she needs help. It's that same thing, man. The Force has awakened inside her. So, what can we expect from the new Jedi of Rey? Well, one could just look towards her compassion for Ben Solo for some of these answers. Rey starts out absolutely hating Ben Solo, but as she has more and more conversations with him, she comes to understand his point of view and even pity him and have a ton of compassion for him. The Reylo connection is not just unconventional for Star Wars in general, it's really unconventional for the Force. And I'm going to be doing a lot of videos on it because I think that there is something pretty wild and interesting going on between them. But they're really connected as yin and yang, and she may come to realize that Kylo's feelings for her are the key to bringing him back to the light side. And if that is the case, then she may take a different approach to the idea of not having attachments. We all thought this was something that Luke probably passed down to his students because he achieved victory through attachment and through not giving up on his father, which, by the way, all the Jedi Masters that were training him told him he had to give up on. Obi-Wan, even in Return of the Jedi, tells him that if he will not strike down his father, then the Emperor has already won. So even wise old Jedi Masters don't always know best, and I think Rey will come to realize that, and perhaps her new order will have a different approach to attachments. There is also an idea of balance, which was teased as something that was lost through time by the time that Yoda's Jedi were established. We see images of the Prime Jedi in the temple on Ahch-To, which is essentially the Jedi who lives between the dark and the light, embodying the best of both of them to create true balance within himself and the Force. It stands to reason that the ancient Jedi text will likely carry that message as well. As Rey reads those texts and tries to meditate and understand them, I think she'll also stress balance to her Jedi. Remember, Luke puts this idea into her head as well, talking about the powerful light and the powerful dark. So the idea of completely banishing the dark and giving into the light might vanish from the new Jedi Order. I also think that she'll definitely need some help in establishing this new order, and she may go out to find members of the Church of the Force or even the Guardians of the Will to help her reestablish the Jedi religion. These groups took a more passive approach to the Force, preferring to look at themselves as an expression of the Force. The Guardians of the Wills did not actually want to bend the Force to their will, but rather wanted to be tools of the Force and be used by it. Remember, I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. That was their mantra. That's the philosophy that they have. They, by the way, even thought that the idea of using kybers as weapons was a bad idea. Overall, I think she will write the first few chapters of the New Order, but leave the rest of the book open to be written by others. The New Order will discover the Force together. Now let's talk about the Reylo connection for a bit. As I said before, this will likely have a major influence on her teachings. Not only does it give her valuable insight into the dangers of the dark side, but it shows her what the Force is capable of doing. If the Reylo connection continues to go the way I believe that it will show Rey new and interesting truths about the nature of the Force. So the connection itself could lead her to a great discovery which will be passed on to her Jedi. Now, we don't really know how much they will be connected in Episode 9, but if it is a lot, it will be interesting to see how they communicate given what they are currently trying to do. She will be off trying to raise a new order of Jedi, and Kylo will probably be out there trying to establish the First Order as the new Empire. This is such a crazy dynamic, but I also believe that they will both be training new Force users. I'm actually working on another video in which I will delve deep into why I think the Knights of Ren will replace the Sith as the new dark side faction in the galaxy, and I'm hoping for a crazy scenario in which Ben Solo is able to give Rey some advice or other teachings about the Force, which will influence her teachings to her students. I would really love it if they have a Force connection moment while they are both giving lessons to their students. This could be absolutely amazing, and think about it. All of the students could see both of them together as they're all tapped into the Force. And how crazy would it be if the light and the dark, literally embodied, would argue about different aspects of the Force and therefore pass on a greater learning to all of their students. I mean, how dope would that be, man? That would be pretty crazy. But even if that doesn't exactly happen, there is a lot of room for that connection to play a major role in what Rey will pass on to her Jedi. Overall, although I think it will take some time, I think we will all look back on the era of Rey's Jedi as a very awesome moment in time for the Force itself. I'm hoping that they are less dogmatic than the Jedi of Yoda's time, and perhaps they pass on a better understanding of what the Force actually is. This would be pretty cool, but that's just what I think. What do you guys think? Did I bring up any interesting points that you thought were pretty cool? Is there anything out there that maybe I'm missing, some evidence in the movie? Please bring that stuff to my attention. Let's have a conversation about this in the comment section below. All right, now let's check that nerd card really quickly. I want to know what new technology used in The Last Jedi was actually hinted at in Rogue One. This is during the scene on Scarif where Jyn Erso and Cassian are going through the Imperial records. They say something that is actually technology used in The Last Jedi. What is that technology? Answer that question in the comment section below. As I always say, I hope you're having an awesome and nerdy day. See ya!